Hello, my name is Rich Rogers, and I am going to be walking some interested parties through how it is that I run games for the Gauntlet. This is in preparation for Gauntlet Con 2017, and I'm very fortunate to have along with me another expert GM. And by expert, I mean there's no one better than Lowell Francis. Lowell, how are you doing? I'm sorry, the
Thank you.
any
Please.
award winner, silver medal, any award-winning blogger, Lowell Francis.
Thank you, Rich. Glad to be here. So there we go. I'm going to mute myself now.
Awesome. So first and foremost, we're going to go over some Google Hangout tips. Then the next thing that we'll go over is how to use the events website to set up a new event and how you can look at an event once it already has people. Then as an optional tool, and again, you could totally toss this out. Lowell doesn't do this. No one else does this. I do it. And I'll explain to you why I do it as I show you. But it is setting up an event through Google+, which, by the way, as of this morning, Google+ made harder. Thanks, Google. You're worth every penny I pay. And then how to set up a Hangout on Air, which is how we'll do things at Gauntlet Con. And I'll explain why as we go. And that'll be the run of the things that we go over with today. As I'm talking, Mark, Matthew, Pat, Lowell, feel free to jump in with questions that you have. It's no problem at all. So first we'll talk about Google Hangouts. So I'm going to do a screen share. And with a screen share, when you open up a Google Video Hangout, if you're doing the Hangout on Air, you have apps that you can run. And that's the reason we're doing Hangouts on Air. Not because everybody has to broadcast everything to their YouTube channel. That's optional for you. Okay, I do it because when I run 3 to 5 sessions, I don't have to take notes. I just got to go back and watch myself. And it's awesome because there are some moments you can pick up of things you didn't see in the game that you can see on video, and you're like, I'm going to mark that down, and I'm going to dig them with that. It's going to be amazing. Or you could just watch and listen to your own voice, which I often like to do too, because I edit myself in podcasts and I have for years. So there are, on the Hangout, the Google Hangout on Air, there are apps. If you do it via Hangout, it's all gimped. It's basically just a video screen, and you can kind of do a chat, and you can kind of maybe sort of share. It's like crazy. It's like, hey, let's make every functionality go away, and you can just talk into a screen like Buck Rogers. I don't like it. So Google Hangouts on Air is what we'll be doing. For Hangouts on Air, you default will start with 5 apps to the left hand of your screen. The top one is blue, like almost like a comics talking thing with white lines. That is to toggle on or off the text chat, which will be on the right-hand side of your screen. Text chat is really cool. It's got a lot of functionality that's kind of hidden in there. The thing is, it's not permanent. If you drop out of the Hangout and rejoin, all of the text that happened, it's gone. You lose it all. So I wouldn't necessarily use that as your Bible or anything like that. But if you want to send a private message, you can do that through that chat. You can use it to give people links to URLs, or just to, if somebody says, hey, can we have a bio break, it's really useful.
The next other I want to point out one thing about that chat that follows on what Rich says. If someone comes in late, they will not see anything that has come beforehand. So if you put a link up, and this happens all the time, you go, oh, I'll put the link up so people can find it for some resource, and then somebody will also come in and they don't see it. So you just got to be aware that you'll have to put it up for the last person who comes in.
Exactly. And if they bump out, like if they drop out for whatever reason, like I was starting to feel like a silent. So there's a phrase that Lowell and I will use. Sometimes Google Hangouts, someone will start to get scratchy and sound a little robot or mechanical. Best way to fix it is either deselect your microphone and reselect it within the Hangout, or just drop out of the Hangout altogether and rejoin. Seems to fix it most of the time. And when they rejoin, like Lowell said, you're going to have to relink them to any pertinent documents that you've linked in. There are other apps, one called Cameraman. I don't know what it does. There's another one called Control Room. I don't have a great deal of faith that it actually works. But then there is Hangout Toolbox, which is how I have this cool thing here, the lower third. And so I'm gonna screen share and show you something really quick. So I am screen sharing. You can either screen share your entire screen. If you have 2 monitors, it'll give you one or the other, or application window. And I'm going to screen share Google Hangouts. Now, what you see now is I'm going to go into a portal of itself. It looks kind of like an aha video, but not exactly. So you go to Hangout Toolbox, and then you can write your display name, which will be the top line, your tagline, which I just made a joke about losing the innies to Ken and Robin, so I'm done being bitter for the next 5 minutes. And you can change the color of the little bar. Now that's cool. You just turn it on here, right? It's a toggle, so it's off, it's on now. Now, you'll notice when you look at your own stuff that it's going to be backwards. All you have to do is click mirror your own video, and then it'll flip around to where you can read the text. I'm doing a bunch of hand gestures. I just realized you guys can't see because I'm dumb. So you can do that to do the lower third. Now, if you want to go next level, you can do an overlay. Now, the overlay is super cool and not hard to make at all. As long as you have, like, I use paint.net, not Microsoft Paint, paint.net. But you can create, it's the normal size that I use, like this, is 1280 by 720. I'll put that in the comments on the video. But often I'll use a 1280 by 720. Let's see. Here's my template that I use normally. So 1140 by 640. It's anything within that general matrix will be what you want. So 1280 by 720 is what I use. So let's say when I ran, oh gosh, one where I think the GM was called the host. I would go to upload overlay, choose that, so I've got a folder. I've been doing this for a while. And then I'll just turn on my custom overlay. And then I will stop screen sharing. What present to everyone means is that normally on a Google Hangout, whoever is talking is who Google will focus on with the camera. If you present to everyone, that means that regardless of if other people are talking, you are the video that will be displayed. You guys were all muted. That's why it hasn't flipped off of me. But I'm going to stop screen sharing. And there you go. So you can see the cool lower third. And it has to be a PNG file. And then you need to use the eraser or whatever to scoop out everything except for the bottom little bit. I will post up you guys a link to the template. I'll put that in the comments and I'll make it available to everybody. The template that I use, and I usually just like throw, as you can see, just throw a few little words, I might put my name. It's cool, fun stuff like that. You don't have to do it. Completely optional. If you're bored and you feel like you should prep and you can't think of anything else, make an overlay. That's what I do. So I'll stop being that and I'll go back to this. Okay. So those are the pieces of the Hangout. Any questions about Google Video Hangout or Lowell, anything you think I've missed? Oh, you're muted, Lowell.
So one of the things you'll find is that when you're in a Hangout like this, people will often begin talking while they're muted. You already know this, but it's one thing to be aware of when you're running is that you got to keep an eye on the little lower thing to see who's moving their lips and they're not hearing anything. But actually what I wanted to say is that lower third that Rich has up, you will notice that I don't have it up because on my machine and on a number of other people's machines, the lower third cuts out after a few minutes for some unknown reason. If you have players that happens to, just tell them not to panic. It's just they're not going to be able to restart it from there. There's something weird with Google. It's a rare issue, but it does happen.
It's not rare for you though, Lowell. Any award-winning Lowell.
It happens every goddamn time. So yeah. I don't even try anymore.
So I'm going to screen share again for Hangouts, but not show you a whole bunch of stuff, just so I can show you these pieces up here so you know. If you want to invite, so when you start up your Hangout, you want to invite people, you just click on this, okay? You have 2 options here. Can you guys see this, or did it black out? You can see it, okay, cool. So you'll see here, this is the permanent link to the Hangout itself, or you can attempt to invite people. Like if I wanted to invite Paul, you just start typing their name and then you'll get options, right? And then when you click on their name, so I'll go back to Paul. So you click on their name, bam, and you click invite, and then he will get a ring to his Hangouts if he has it active. Now, for the purpose of Gauntlet Con, what you'll probably want to do is just go up here, hit Control-C to copy that text, and you'll drop it into the event that will be on the event website, which we go over next. So that's inviting people to something. You can mute yourself by muting the microphone. You can turn off the camera here. And then the other thing that you can do is you can adjust your bandwidth. So I always have it maxed out. But you can lower that bandwidth if you're having problems. If you're cutting in and out, if somebody's sniffing off your Wi-Fi, whatever, you can try that as a potential problem solver. It's helped a few people before. Like if they have a very low amount of bandwidth, they will either drop their bandwidth or go to audio only. And you know, it's really, as a GM, however you want to handle it. I do my best to try to keep people within the game, even if I lose their video. And then the last piece is the settings. Sometimes, and Lowell mentioned in chat that the best way if somebody starts to go Cylon or robot out, the best option is to drop out and come back in. But I actually have had success that sometimes I will sound tinny, and it's because the microphone, the webcam microphone's been chosen instead of my snowball mic. So I'll just go deselect it and reselect it, and that seems to work. Sometimes when I share screens and come back from it, my webcam doesn't pick up, and I'll go reselect it and I come back in. So just a couple things. And let's see. Yep, my video came back. Hooray! This is the best broadcast ever. All right, those are Hangout video. And now we're going to get some exciting stuff. So, about to go back to screen sharing. We're going to go over the Gauntlet Con Events website. Now, the Gauntlet Con Events website is not alive at this moment. However, it was a clone, like one for one, just scooping out all of the events and the users, but the exact same functionality that we have on the current Gauntlet Events website. I'm going to assume you guys have never used it before. But you totally should. Inside and outside of Gauntlet Con, Gauntlet is always running events, and we always have lots of great games, and we need players and GMs. So now I'm going to screen share the application of the Chrome browser, and you'll see as I switch over to Gauntlet. This is the Gauntlet Hangouts events website, but once we have the Gauntlet Con website, which I previewed it looks great. I'm really excited about it. It will be red in the background just so people won't confuse it, and we'll have Gauntlet Con here up at the top. So I am going to make this a little smaller in case I can see people, because you guys are all muted. So just in case something comes across, I'll just adjust my website. All right. So when the first time you come into the Gauntlet website, you will need to use the email you've used to sign up with Gauntlet Con. And when you do that, you can come in here and you'll see I am for Gauntlet Con. I'll be an event creator as well as the administrator. It makes me feel amazing. I'm heady with power. It's so great, guys. You can check here to see past events under my icon and see past things that have happened, things that you've created. Oh, I'm sorry. Past events, you want to see past events. Created events will show all of the games that you have created. You'll be able to see the name of the game, what time, and start time that you have for it. Okay? And then if you've signed up for games, because as a GM, you have that option. You can sign up for 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever games. Then you'll see what you have either are attending, or if you put yourself on a wait list, then it'll say that you're RSVP'd. I've been lucky enough to get into quite a few games, mostly anything that Lowell says he's running, and then some other stuff every once in a while. Because Lowell is a Silver ENnie Award winner, and which makes him amazing. So this calendar isn't as useful for us for Gauntlet Con because everything's happening in 3 days. But if you're crazy for it and you really want to see, what you can see is you'll click and it'll show all of the sessions that are listed by time. But a better way is the all events info, which is super sexy and a new add to the Gauntlet events website from development for Gauntlet Con. So with this one, you can sort. So you can sort to see what games are open, right? You can sort to see what games have the most waitlisted people. Surprise, surprise, a bunch of stuff that Jason Cordova's running. I'm not jealous. You can check your all access time, which is when everything goes live. That it will not be part of Gauntlet Con. Everything is going to go live all at once. For the next 4 weeks, I will be on, actually, probably less than 4 weeks. Next short amount of X time, I will have to get on all of our Gauntlet Con GMs to go in and enter event. And I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. As you can see who the event creators are, the title, and the start time. So you can just do that in whatever thing. You can export this to Excel. And what that does is just puts it in a format that you can easily grab and drop into Excel or Google Spreadsheets. So now I'm going to go to events and show you all how to create a new event. This is 100% how it will work for Gauntlet Con. Click on new event. Surprise. Title. That's what you'll see is the title of your game. This will be what people glance at as they start to drill down and try to find more information. I recommend putting the game system in that name somewhere, but if you want to put your cool spin on it, feel free. The max number of users should not include you. This is how many people can sign up for the event before the next person is automatically put into the wait list. You don't need to worry too much about managing the wait list. If one person drops out, the very next person in the queue in the wait list will automatically be added and you will get an email. And that's why I want all of the GMs, like I could go in and enter all these in for you guys. But if you enter them in, then when waitlist, if somebody drops out of the game or if somebody else moves into the game, or if a new person signs up, you will get an email. And that's why I think it's pretty important and helpful. And it's super exciting to get those emails. And it's only for 3 days, so you can only get so many emails. It's going to be okay. Your Gmail account will handle it. The all access time, you don't need to worry about. That is a function of Gauntlet, but not part of Gauntlet Con because the all access time is going to be the same for everybody. So that line should be hidden. It was in the preview that I saw. The event start date. I'm going to go over this with a little bit of detail. It is military time. I hope you guys can subtract 12. Because it sometimes will break my brain. You will select either Friday afternoon or Sunday all the way up to 10. Just that hour, that slot that you've chosen, you just click that in there. And it's going to, if you click the date, then automatically it thinks you're done. So you got to go back in. And you got to push up or down. This is slightly annoying. Yes, the mouse icon will cover over the friggin' number. So you'll got to go click, click, click. Okay, was that right? Oh, I was wrong. Crap. Back. Okay, there. All right, there you go. And yes, you do have to hit this 26 times on the down thing. It sucks. Boom. There you go. So on Friday at 2000, which according to my public school education is 8 p.m., is done. So I'll click the button, and now the event will start at 8 o'clock. All of our slots are 3 hours. If you, for whatever reason, you're running a game that's going to run 2.5, whatever, you can put that in your description. If you don't put something in the event picture, then there won't be a picture. It is a profile, so it's going to get stretched, and it might be ugly. Here, you just choose that. I'm not actually going to... I guess I could, but I don't know. Anyway,
I'll point out something about the image. What I usually do is I go through and I create a square image, like a 500 by 500. I'll cut that out of a cover, or I'll resize something to be square, and that'll fit it fine. It'll stretch fine. I recommend making your image square before you upload it to there.
Oh, I see Paul asked a question, which is a great question. What time zone this in? It will be in the time zone. It should be in your time zone. You can, if you set up under Gmail, it will 100% be under your time zone. I haven't tested it with anything that's outside of the Google sphere. So, Lowell, are you signed up under Gmail or something other than Gmail?
Gmail.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if you're outside of Gmail and you use something other than that. We can test it as you go, but it should be working under your time zone. You put in your description, which is just the write-up. I would put if there is any expectation for system knowledge of any kind, generally what you expect to happen in the game. I wouldn't get too purple prose, like, hey, this is a deductive reasoning game, or hey, this will be a dungeon crawl, or hey, this will be all about relationships and a good bit of emotion, that kind of stuff. And once you've done all that, this will be selectable. It's not allowing me to select it because I haven't put in the correct all access time, which is kind of neat. It helps you a little bit there. And you create your event. And you'll get a little pop-up type deal that says your event's done. And you can go into your account and see it in your create event. So let's take a look here. Once you create an event, okay, here's the name that I gave it. Here's the time that it starts. This will give me a synopsis of how many of my spots are taken. You can here go in. You can delete the event. Aha, I hate you all. I'm not going to run it after all. Please don't do that. Edit the event. You can just edit any information in case somebody asks a question at the chat area below. You can do that. You can duplicate the event. This is useful if you're running a couple of events back to back. It'll save you the effort of having to start all over again and recopy everything. I use this for Saturday morning cartoons. You might have a couple of sessions you want to run during Gauntlet Con. You can do that. Just be advised, just like it says, no pic. It doesn't bring a picture in. And show emails. So I'm not clicking any of those buttons. We'll go down here. You can see this is the stuff I put in. It's going to ask you if you want to RSVP to waitlist. Don't worry. You're already attending because you're the GM. Here's your list. Here's your waitlist. And then here's the comment. So if you're not using anything other than this and Discord, which we'll review for momentarily in a little bit here, then you can just put that Hangout link that we talked about before right here in the comments, hit submit, and then hopefully only the people who are signed up and RSVP'd will come. But this is a thing that is viewable by everyone. So, you know, I don't assume shenanigans, but I use other methods to communicate the information. Often I will build a Google event, which we'll talk about in a minute. Are there any questions about the Gauntlet events website? Is everything pretty clear? Anything that you'd like me to talk over again?
I have a quick question.
Sure, Matthew.
Actually, it's sort of for Lowell and a few other GMs. I've noticed that some people include themselves in the player list, like leave a space open for them and then RSVP to their own game. Is there a reason that you do that, or?
Oh, I've only done that a couple of times when I've had someone drop out and I've got a space open and I have Sherry sit in. Then I RSVP myself to it to do that because she forgets to. Just so I make sure that it's noted that I have that spot filled then.
Right. And then I guess maybe one more. I don't know if you want to talk about this now or if you'd be interested in talking about it later, but as far as the description goes, I was thinking about kind of what to write for the game that I was going to register for, because some Powered by the Apocalypse games are really, I mean, it's a PBTA game that I'm running. Some games are really focused in their scope, and it's very obvious what to put in the description. You can a lot of the time just copy and paste the back pitch. But some games are a little more broad, and you don't know exactly what kind of story you're going to be telling by the time 2 months rolls around. Like I feel like I might have some ideas that might crop up, and I guess you want to keep it as general as possible without, because I'm thinking like, what I'm putting in now for the description is probably going to change by the time a couple months rolls around, since I'm playing a game that's pretty open-ended and I haven't put much thought into what's going to happen, right?
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on refining that pitch, I guess?
If you are running a game that is like known to most people, then they're probably just going to come because of the game. Like I could put up Urban Shadows and just grab the back of the book. Apocalypse World, anything in the Apocalypse engine that's generally, if it's been on +1 forward, chances are that you should be able to fill. Oh my goodness, dude, Legend of the Elves is awesome. I normally run the kind of quick starty type deal about the Festival of the Four. It runs really well in 3 hours. Although I have a group who will not believe that I just said that because it took us 6 sessions to get through Vessel before. We went into a full tournament. It was amazing. It was really good. I'm not complaining. It was super fun. So I think Legend of the Elements and just the general blurb from the back of the book should be good enough. Legend of the Elements, the pitch is if people have heard of it, they're going to want to play. Like I want to play right now. If they haven't heard of it, Wuxia, Legend, Legend of Korra, Avatar: The Last Airbender, high-flying magic, spirits, and elemental powers, I think probably be about all you would need. I've run Legend of the Elements. I ran it at Gen Con, and I just used the thing from the back of the book.
The one thing I would suggest is if you're going to be doing a PBTA game and like really doing it differently than what it's going to be, like I did Masks, but it was a zombie apocalypse, that I would just make, I would make a statement that you don't even have to spell it out. You say, we're going to be using a preset sort of skin for it or something like that, just so the players have that expectation before they go in, that we're going to have a hard frame for it. That'd be the only thing. Paul mentions here, it's also worth mentioning any content or safety warnings, putting those in that, like mature audiences or anything like that.
Yeah, put that in the description. That's excellent, Paul and Lowell. Thank you for bringing that up. If you're going to run something that you think should be R, PG-13, that kind of thing, you might want to mention that up front. If you know that, like if you're really itching to run something that has potentially objectionable content, like anything that you feel might need a trigger warning, do that up front. That way you don't have that uncomfortable moment of making someone wish to leave the game, right? Here's the thing. We, and this will be part of your GM packet, we also have, we're going to ask you to utilize safety tools like the X card as well during the game. But if you know that there's a thing you want to explore within the game, then go ahead and put it in the description. Be upfront about it. You know, it's okay. And if nobody signs up for it, maybe you want to pitch something else. It's okay too. I've had games that didn't make. It sucks.
Me too.
But you're not a bad person. It could be a bad time. It could have been the wrong kind of pitch. Now, if you are thinking about pitching a game and you're not comfortable with the description, if you want to hit me up privately, reach out to me at Google+. If you happen to be on the Slack, then feel free to reach out to me. I'll walk you through. Kate will be happy to help you with the descriptions. We're going to take a look at those descriptions once they're all up. Hopefully we'll have them up in a well enough time before everything goes live to review each and every game pitch or a game description and give some feedback in case there's some things where it's not clear or we're not sure what game's going on. We're worried that people may not sign up for it because we want every game to fill. We really, really do. I'm excited about the stuff that I've seen up there so far. I'm very confident that Gauntlet Con is going to be successful. And the more people we can get in, the more people who get a chance to enjoy it. Any other questions about the Gauntlet events website? Okay. Cool. All right. The next thing we're going to go over is Discord. Now, Discord is a thing that, as a GM, the only thing that I would recommend you do is use that as a potential way of talking directly to players, because I'm not going to assume that everybody has Google+, because I don't think that's the case anymore. It's kind of sad because it used to be great. Still in mourning for you, Google+. So I'm going to share screens and quickly walk through Discord. There's a whole lot going on with Discord, and we're going to do our best to provide you with videos that show you the functionality of Discord, and I'm building a GM handbook that will talk about this in more detail, but since you're here, I wanted to show it to you. So let's do some talk about Discord.
Hey Rich.
Yes.
While you're loading that up, I have a question. Since I'm new to online gaming, Hangout gaming, how many sessions do you recommend that I pitch for the con?
I would recommend, Mark, I recommend you go at least a couple, because if you just do one and one little thing kind of goes wrong, then that's going to be your full experience with it. So I say do 2. You know, do one on Friday, one on Saturday. That way you don't feel overwhelmed. And you'll learn something from your first session that you can apply to the second one. Like, for example, when I ran masks at Gen Con the first day, we were 2.5 hours in before we shared influence, which was kind of important for building the team pool and knowing who trusts the leader. And so the second time that I ran masks, we did that right off the bat. So, yeah, I recommend a couple of games.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not sure Discord is actually, like, it looks all black. Why is it? Do you guys? Okay, good. Okay. So as you can see, you can have multiple, each of these are different Discord servers, but there is a specific Gauntlet Con server. Right now you can see there's not a lot of activity because this is all pre-show stuff. But once you come in, we will create, we'll give you a link. You'll come in, you'll immediately go to General, and no one has done a Discord server that I know of during an actual online con. The way I'm envisioning it is there are two things, a text channel and a voice channel. Here is what I'm thinking is that we will have text channels set up for people to queue up to before the game goes live. So, for example, we'll just call this queue up task. And I have admin functionality, so we just go in here and boom. So somebody would drop into this here, and when you come in, you're ready to go. Ready for slot 5 Urban Shadows game. And then everybody who's ready to go will be in this text channel, and you can just message them that Hangout link, and then they can pop over to it and jump straight in. That way nobody has to have Google Plus up, nobody has to have Hangout chat up. I'm trying to obviate too much stuff going on. But again, this is a thing that's being tested now for the first time. So hopefully there will be no weirdness or problems, but that's how we're planning on using Discord. Or any questions about use of Discord? Again, I commit to having Discord YouTube videos that you can view to show you some of the deeper features. Lowell, looks like you want to say something.
He'll show you in there about the settings. One of the things you can do on Discord is you can set Discord so that you push to talk, where you hold down a button on your keyboard to talk rather than having to keep muting yourself. So that's a nice feature that will be available for that.
Right. And the queue up channel is going to be a text channel, but there are voice channels on there, and Lowell's great because one of the big features about Discord that I am hoping to take advantage of is that we will have a tavern, like a hangout that's going all the time, text only, where people can jump in between games. And that's where, say, it's getting close to slot 5 in that Urban Shadows game that I tested out for you, right? It's getting close to slot 5, then you could pop into the voice channel. Somebody else could pop in the voice channel and just say, hey, slot 5 is coming up. If you've got a game, head over to the queue up channel. And that might also be where you could recruit people. A few people, we have a few dropouts who don't show up for whatever reason. Emergencies happen. Real life trumps gaming. Or, somebody signed up for the wrong time slot and didn't realize it till the thing. It will happen. But you'll be able to recruit lots of people too. I'm sorry, Mark, you were going to say something.
Sorry, yeah. It looks like you can roll dice there. Is that where you prefer people roll dice?
Great question. So I'm going to allow die rolling up to the GM. Really, if that's where you want to handle it, cool. You can create, if you want, I'll create you a channel just for your game, and you can say, we'll roll dice here. I will show you another option that you can use, and I'll show you why. And it's really great for particular types of games. This is a website that was just recently created, kind of brought back from the dead. So Graham Walmsley created this website called Catch Your Hair, and he had a die roller on there. It was really great. And something happened to the JavaScript or whatever, and it broke. And Shane from the Gauntlet community came in, got the API, and made a whole new thing that he keeps adding new cool stuff to. It's amazing. So I'm going to share that website with you right now. I'm actually going to click.
I think Paul wants to jump in a little bit on Discord.
Paul, what you got
there before you move on
Paul
to?
knows a lot about Discord. So before we go to the die roller, Paul, what do you have?
I have to jump away for a bit, Rich. So
okay, we'll see you soon, Lo. Oh, I can't hear you, Paul. One minute. So as a GM, this may happen from time to time. You give somebody about 30 seconds, and then you move on. So, Paul, when I hear you, I'll jump back to you. I'm going to show them the website while you're working on your thing. So I'm going to share the application window, and this is the website I'm going to be using. Again, you can use Discord. That's perfectly fine. The website I'm going to be using is Roll for Your Party. When you go into this website, you can click a new room. Now, if you see here this URL, Simply Chef or Chief Marmoset, you share that with your group. I'm going to share that with you guys right now. If you want to jump in, you can. And you can enter any number before the die type. You can change your color. And so right now I'm going to roll 2d6. There you go. And you can even go something like Rich's blue. Yourself a little text thing, move that over here, grab your D3 or your 2 dice, move them over. And then if you don't want to enter a whole new thing every time, you just highlight your 2 and you can re-roll. Bam, you roll a 5. Bam, you got a 12. So it doesn't do the modifiers, which is pretty cool in Discord. I really like the modifiers, but I like it because it's physical, because I can move it around, and so that's the thing. But it comes back to the whichever one you most like. I mean, honestly, if everyone in your group uses the text part of Hangouts, you can even roll dice there. Like, for example, as you guys should have seen a little pop-up that says hello. You can do /ROLL 2d6 +3. Just rolled an 11 on that thing, and it will do the addition for you. So lots of options. Hey, if you want to tell your people just roll physical dice, it's cool. Totally up to you. Those are a few tools. Yeah.
One thing, I noticed there that when you were typing into the chat, I actually didn't see the prompt for the hello. And sometimes I noticed that there's like 2 chats going on in Hangouts. And I don't know if that was before when it was integrated with Roll20 or if it's still like that sometimes. But like, it's not in the sidebar, right?
No.
What you just typed?
I'm not putting it in the... That's the thing. Google calls everything Hangouts. There are 2 types of Hangouts. There's a chat Hangout. Is kind of what I call it. Which you can view either if you have Google Hangouts like installed as if it's an app, or you can go to Google Plus and click on the drop downs for Hangouts, and then a new browser window will come up and you can see the text in that as well. It doesn't show us the text within the video window that you guys are viewing right now. Yep, you just rolled a 4 on a 2d6 -1. Yeah. That's another option. The only problem I've found with the text window thing is that invariably someone is going to forget how to type it. So you go, all right, we're at a really exciting moment. Go ahead and roll your stealthy. Okay, what do I roll again? And then they're going to put /ROLL. And you'll be like, no, it's /. Then they put /ROLL, but they put something wrong. And then 3 minutes later, they get it right, and you've kind of sucked the wind out of their sails for the excitement. Oh, so Paul has pointed out in Discord, if we make a channel just for your game for rolling, for die rolling, that channel has to be public because Sidekick, the dice bot, has to be able to access it. Thank you, Paul. You couldn't invite, I assume you can't invite Sidekick to that channel, it has to be a public thing. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you, Paul. Yeah.
I got a question, Rich. What about using like Roll20 for dice functionality?
Totally up to you. If you are comfortable with Roll20 and you got no problems walking your group through it, it's an option for each and every GM. It might be a little much for somebody's first timers, but people who've used Roll20 before, go for it. It is fantastic. It's a great app. The more and more I learn about it, the more I like it.
Okay.
You can also, if you don't want to go with that, if you think I want to be able to see everybody, right, then you may want to go with this plus Google Spreadsheets. If you need help with character sheets for your particular game, Gauntlet as a group have created a bevy of Google Spreadsheets, like a lot. Mostly PBTA, I'll be honest, but a lot of others as well. Of character keepers or character spreadsheets. You can also use a Google Doc and have people type down a few things. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to be something that people can access and know about their characters. And if you have particular questions about the type of game you want to run, feel free to hit me up. I'm happy to do my best to try to help facilitate it for you. If it's some really esoteric thing, I'll try to find other people who can help you.
Gotcha.
Let's see. So we've talked about the die roller, roll for your party. We have talked about the Gauntlet events website. And so this is the optional piece. Again, this is super optional. You know what? Actually, backtrack. Let me go over how to set up a Hangout on air before I talk about anything optional, because this one's real damn important. So I'm going to go back to sharing screens. All right. So you want to go to YouTube, which means you got to be running through a Google account, right? Okay, so what you want to do is once you go to YouTube, you can click on your little icon in the upper right-hand corner. If you're running a different browser from Chrome and it doesn't look like this, hit me up. We'll figure it out together. I only run through Chrome browser. Creator Studio is where you want to go. By the way, I do have screenshots of this in a little PDF that I'm happy to share with you. I do need to go double check to see if it needs to be updated. Once you come into the studio, you want to go to live streaming and click the down caret. Now, it wants you to use a super fancy streaming software, maybe Open Broadcast or something crazy silly like that. Don't worry about that. Ignore it. You want to do an event. Look, we're live. So you would create a new live event. You don't have to put all you really need to do is you need to put a name in here. Okay. I would just go ahead and do this right before your game goes live. That's what I do. If you want to set it up ahead of time, you can. It just means you got to come back into the events and then access it. I just do it at the time I'm going live. Unlisted means that this game will be saved to your YouTube channel and anyone who stumbles upon it can view it. Private means that the only people who can view this YouTube are the people that you give access to. Public, if you click on public, that means it's going to post to your Google Plus, possibly your Twitter if you have it linked in, and people can go in and watch it. Anybody could. But only if you go live to YouTube. Okay? So you're just going to run the game so that people can run apps and have a lower third. Then all you have to do at this point is put in a name for it and click Go Live Now. It'll pop a small little window in the middle. It says, you're about to go live. Are you ready? You click OK, and then you will come to a Hangout window that looks quite a bit like the one you're looking at now. You will have at the bottom of your screen a button that will start off and it will tick up a little clock, and then all of a sudden it will say Start Broadcast. You can invite people to the game, bring them on, talk to them. You just run the Hangout the whole time. David Lafreniere, whenever he runs Dungeon World on Dungeon World Wednesdays, he does it in Hangout on air, but he never broadcasts. He just runs it so he can have those tool functions, and that's perfectly okay. I broadcast everything I do because I like to go back and watch my videos sometimes. It makes me happy. So that's totally optional to you. That is creating a Hangout on air. Any questions about that? I can go back through it again, talk more specifically about anything.
I've got one. I don't know. I don't know if you know the answer to this, because it seems like you have pretty good internet wherever you're at. But I have bandwidth problems some of the time. If I use Hangouts on air but don't broadcast, is that going to be taxing my internet? I can probably find this out through a Google search, but I don't know if there's any internet interaction there. Because it's only. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Because what, Matthew?
Well, I was just thinking, like, the only way I could think that it would actually be taxing your internet in any way is if it's actually uploading the data. Otherwise, it's just using a different functionality, probably, right?
Yeah. The recording doesn't seem to have an effect on the bandwidth. The one thing that does is, if you find yourself that the bandwidth is becoming real problematic and turning it down doesn't work, you can always turn your camera off. And that we found distinctly does have an effect. But yeah, the question you asked about is recording, and so far as we've seen, recording doesn't affect bandwidth usage.
Thanks, Lowell. Must have a Google-based YouTube account. Do you have to have a Google? I don't know. Do you have to have a Google account to have a YouTube account?
In order to record videos, you need to have a Google-based YouTube account. Yes, it has to be verified. They have a track on that.
Okay, I was going to say I think so, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we need to inform people that they're going to be recorded and get their permissions?
Yes.
You should. Now, here's the thing. Because to hang out on air, they're going to automatically get a pop-up like you did, which says you got to click and agree to it. But I think it would be a good well, yes, you should let them know if you plan on recording it.
Yeah. I always put that in the description of the game, one statement to that effect, just to be on the safe side. Because we have had people that have gotten to a game and realized that it just then realized that it was going to be recorded, and that's something they can't have happen because of their workplace. Or the security status or so on. So yeah, it is important to have that stated and checked.
Yeah, I think it's common courtesy. People would probably get a little squigged out when they see that thing go live.
Hey, Rich, are the Gauntlet, like Jason and everybody, are they wanting to have videos uploaded for Gauntlet Con?
Yes, we would love to have videos uploaded for Gauntlet Con. We would love to be able to share a playlist of that, because I think it'll help Gauntlet Con 2018 be even more successful as people see all the cool fun that we've had. So yes, if you are comfortable recording yourself, absolutely do.
Okay.
I've found it to be incredibly instructional to look back at some of my good choices and some of my less than good choices as a game master and player.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. Here are, I'm gonna kick out the optional thing. I'm not gonna worry about it. Here are some definite things you need to know, because we've gone almost an hour. So I'm gonna tell you guys some of my Hangout tips. When you're running a game over Hangouts, it's different from a table, because really only one person at a time can talk. And one of the things that has been a challenge for people when they first come on to Hangout Gaming is, well, no, you go. No, it's okay. No, you go. Don't ask open-ended questions. Like, don't source the table. Call upon people. It really helps. Use their name, or distinctly use their character name, and call Mark. What is it about this tavern that reminds you of home? Don't go, so guys, this place is really homey. Who likes the serving wench? I don't know, something crazy like that. Just feed me some data. Then you're going to have a bunch of people step on top of each other. Another thing is, you've got video here. Use it to your advantage. watch people. It's not like sitting at a table, right? You can get a great read off of people from a table. You can absolutely tell when people are engaged, when they're disengaged, when they're actively listening, when they want to talk. It's less so here, but you do still have it. I will often kind of keep glancing down. If I see a big reaction from somebody, if I see somebody wants to jump in, they're going to kind of do that behavior of leaning forward, and then call upon them. Give them permission to do that thing. Another thing, keep a timer. Because you're calling on people, make sure that you're kind of aware of who hasn't had a chance to do anything in a while. That's just a normal spotlight sharing thing. But once you establish that you as the GM are going to call on people, there are folks who are probably a little less likely to mention that they haven't done anything in a while, because they think, oh, well, they know, because they've taken on that responsibility of calling upon people. And then the last tip that I think is really helpful, split the party. Split the heck out of the party. Pairs run way smoother than 5 people all in one scene. So split folks up and hot swap between the 2 scenes. Get to a point of crisis, get to a die roll, jump away from them. Queue up to the next group. What's going on with you? This is the last thing was happening. Get their next actions, get things going, have a little bit of dialogue, cut away, cut away, cut away. Think like you're a frenetic director who's got way too much caffeine, and just cross cut and jump back and forth. I found those to be really helpful. Lowell, I learned so much from you as a Hangout GM. What are some of the things that you try to do?
One is at the start of the session, like Rich did before this one, even before you start recording or whatever, say, I'm going to talk about what we're going to be doing. I'm going to do character creation. I'm going to introduce ourselves. Then we're going to play. We're going to take a bio break at the halfway mark. You set that up like this is my magic trick. This is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to see. And that's what we're going to play out. Also, I would recommend saying at the beginning of the session, hey, if we get to the last 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to hard compress that, or I'm going to move us forward to get to an ending. It's good to tell people that at the beginning so they have that expectation when they get to that last half hour, so they're not surprised, and so they're not worried that they're not going to get everything in. It's a good thing to preview for anyone. The other thing I would say, and this is a minor thing, it's a table issue, but I think it's actually even more important when you're running online. A lot of times when you have a game, teams of people, if you split them, are going out and they're learning things, like getting information or whatnot. What I usually say is the assumption we have when we're playing this is if one group has found out something, when we cut to the other group, they know it. You've told them. Unless you've explicitly said that you haven't told them, you've passed that information on. Because otherwise we get those moments where people have to go, I'm going to go and tell them and blah, blah, blah. We want to cut that out, especially online. We want to eliminate those things. And players appreciate that when you set that up and give them that. It gives them more flexibility to do things. So those are minor things, but I think important techniques.
Yeah, great point. Great point.
I have something to throw in if I could.
Yes, absolutely, Matthew.
This is kind of actually based on something I heard Lowell talking about on Play on Target a while ago. But the idea of the once around, I think, is especially effective in an online format, because instead of at the table when there could be distractions or people talking amongst each other or whatever, when you're sitting around at a computer facing a webcam, you don't really have much of a choice but to listen and pay attention. Like, yeah, you can still be, doing stuff on your own, but there's this level of kind of focus and attention to what's happening in the immediate. And I think that quick once around can be really effective at the start of the game to kind of just give everyone a brief chance to shine and show what their character's about. And that gets everyone more, I think, bought in and glommed on to what everyone's setting up. And active listening, I think, happens more naturally in an online environment. So you can leverage that to your advantage, I think.
Good point, Matthew. Thanks for pointing that out. Mm-hmm. And thanks for pointing out Play on Target, the semi-annual podcast that I dearly love.
It's not pod faded, I swear.
It's just pod dimmed. That's great. Pat or Mark, No not nominated for any yet. Mark, did you have any specific questions that you wanted to ask here for the video? Any things that you're thinking about, or any questions or concerns?
Well, since we're talking techniques, and you know, I'm planning on running a PBTA game. Most likely, I'll be running Monster Hearts. I've run games with pre-gens, and I've run games where people make the characters at the table. And I believe that someone in the chat said that there are 4-hour sessions, but even in a 4-hour session, character generation takes a while. What do you recommend for this con? Should I go ahead and create a pre-made scenario with pre-generated characters? The reason I ask this is because, like at Camp Nerdly, when I was running it face to face, I spent a lot of time doing character creation, and it led to a really great game. But it also ate an hour and a half of my time.
That's a great question, because it will eat an hour to an hour and a half of your time. And there are some groups, for example, at Gen Con, the Masks game, during the feedback, because I always end games about 15 minutes early to try to get some feedback. One of the people said, I could have spent the whole session just doing that world building and character creation. That was super fun. Like, I like the play too, but I had so much fun in telling those stories. So that might be a part of the game that people want to dial into. For Gauntlet Con, our assumption is that no one needs to do, it is not required, you as a GM should not require homework for people before they show up to the game. I'll allow you as a GM to have that conversation, but the default assumption is that folks can just show up to their game session and play, right? That's kind of the general default mode of play for the Gauntlet, and I'd like to carry it through to Gauntlet Con. You know, when you show up for a game at a physical con, you didn't do any prep beforehand. Usually, I mean, I'm sure there's some Adventures League stuff that's totally different about getting your character sheet signed and notarized by the right public official. I'm not sure. But for us, I think that it might be good. Mark, you've shown me how you've sped up Monster Hearts character creation. You've shown me some of those details. I think that's a great thing to roll out. One of the things that I've done is a Kmart frame for Monster Hearts where I pre-selected the playbooks and then had some suggestions for looks and a lot of other stuff to save people from going on Google and doing a lot of image searches. For Spirit of 77, which I ran in a 2-hour slot 2 different times at Gen Con, I went, okay, we're going to do character creation, but you only do 2 hooks. You know, I'll scale everything back. So if you want to do a light amount of character creation, you can. I would say control it, scale it back. And here's the other thing that I did, because I don't know why, but I'm stupid, and I did want people to go through character creation for Spirit of 77 in a 2-hour game. I said at the half-hour mark, we're going. And we did. And it wasn't a scolding. I said at a half-hour mark is pedal to the metal. Anything that you don't have done right now, we'll figure it out as we go. You know, maybe we'll do this hook right here and now. Okay. I had a brief conversation with Vincent Baker, who said that sometimes when he runs Apocalypse World, he will start off with, what character would you like to play? I'm playing the Chopper. Okay, you're in a chair right now. You're basically, he was saying, Rothschild has you. He's caught you. You're in the base of a, I think like the bottom of like a water tower that's all dried out. He's got you tied to a chair. Now, you're probably going to want to try to read a person and see what the hell it is Rothschild wants to do for you. So you better know what your sharp stat is. So why don't you pick one of these stats? And then he jump over okay, who's playing our so-and-so? And somebody would take that playbook and pick it up. That's really interesting. I'm not that bold. Vincent is. So there are a lot of different ways to do it. The short answer is, Mark, understand that if you're that committed to doing a full character creation process and you're willing to give an hour and a half out of your default 3-hour, although I've heard mention that there's a 4-hour on the sign-up thing. So if there's a 4-hour, just here's the thing about doing a 4-hour session. The slots are set up every 3 hours. If you do a 4-hour session, you're biting into possibly someone else's game, which could hamper your ability to get people to sign up.
Gotcha.
If you're confident that that you're not going to lose people who want to go to slot 5, slot 6, and jump into that other game, you can do a 4-session because it's on the volunteer form. That's no problem.
Understood. All right. Thank you.
Is that a good answer? Does that make sense, Mark?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes to both. You know, bring a lot of it pre-done, and then let them fill in the details. That's how I feel like I'm going to go with it, and you help me reach that decision. So that's
cool.
Perfect.
I think, Mark, from what I've played with you, I think it will be amazing. Like I'm just so excited when people get to see the stuff that you shared with me before. It's
sure.
Be hot.
Okay.
It's gonna be like, okay, what slot are we putting Mark in so that I can be free that slot? That's my plan. That's my evil plan. Sad thing is, it's a free for all. When signups happen, it's a free for all. If I get in, it's all about luck of the draw. Okay. Are there any questions you have, Pat?
No, not really. I mean, the game I'm planning to run is pretty freeform, but it has a structure where once you hit a certain part of the game, you move on to the end game. So if it runs like somewhat shorter than 3 hours, is that like too much of a big problem? Because sometimes players will play the game pretty fast, and sometimes it's kind of dragged out.
Now that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I think
Tell
it's cool.
people, hey, sometimes we get it done in 2 hours, sometimes we get it done in 4. I've had that happen. Yeah.
Yep, just be open and honest. Like, tell them at the outset, and I think it'll be cool. When you start the game, like, I don't think you need to necessarily put that in your write-up. That seems weird. This may be 2, this may be 4. But if you start it up and you say, hey, guys, just so you know, this game might run just 2 hours, and I'd love to you could do a feedback session for the next 15, whatever you want.
Okay.
You can let them go. That's cool. That's the best part about doing an online con, right? When people have physically come to a particular space, and you cut them short, they're like, well, what am I going to do for the next hour? But if they're sitting at home, they got stuff they can figure out. They can go on the internet. Let's see. Anything else that I can think of from a Google Hangout tip? I'll come up with like 20 as soon as we stop this. But we've taken an hour, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Matthew, did you have something?
I've got one super quick question. I was interested if we have an idea when things are going to go live and if it's possible to edit the forms or descriptions on the actual Gauntlet Con events page once they go up. If we kind of refine the pitch for a game or something, are we able to add more details? Obviously, you don't want to do that after people have signed up because you want to set the expectations that they're going to get what they get when they sign up. But yeah, that's
cool. So question 1, you're going to have the schedules will be created based off of the games that have been submitted up to today-ish. Tomorrow I meet with Kate. We pull everything out of the Google Forms, which can't be edited. They cannot be edited that I know of. Like, I can delete one, I think, but I'm afraid I'll delete everything because I've never made a Google form. Kate made it, and it's just magic to me. So if you have a specific significant edit, like I submitted this game, I want this other game, message me. But the second half of your question, once you're given your schedule, then we'll need a transition for everyone going on to the Gauntlet Con website, entering the event. Once you put that in, you can edit it. You can edit it after things go live. Just be advised that if somebody signed up for Bulldogs, the Fate Edition, and you switch to Bulldogs, the D20 Edition, they might be slightly upset. So don't bait and switch, people. Not that I assume bad faith, but just be advised that if you get this really good idea that's radically different from the other thing, you should check in with your players to say, hey, turns out there's a better version of this thing I wanted to do. Are you guys cool with it? If yay, go for it. Like, I had people sign up for Primetime Adventures, but it never filled. Like, I only had 2 people. I approached each of those players and said, hey, listen, PTA is not going to sing with just 2 people, especially since you can't make session 3, you can't make session 4. Let's go with this other game. They all agreed to it, and we flipped it. So, totally cool. All right. I have taken up an hour and 15 minutes of your time. I've also taken up a lot of YouTube time. If you have any follow-up questions after this, feel free to reach out to me, put comments on the YouTube video, which I'll share with you. Thank you all for your questions, your engagement. It's been very helpful for me to get some things to anticipate for folks, and I hope that I've given you the confidence, or at least the assurance, that you can do this. I want you to do this. I want you guys to run games for us here at Gauntlet Con. I think it's going to be a super exciting time, and I'm really stoked to have all of you aboard. So thank you all so much, and we'll stop the broadcast here.